Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about action verbs. And you'll notice it says part 1. I'm excited to do this lesson about some of the basic action verbs in English. But if you are an intermediate or advanced learner, don't leave. I will make sure to talk about other verbs every time I talk about a basic action verb. So if I teach the verb to walk, I'll also talk about stroll and brisk walk and other variations of that verb. So this will be an English lesson that is for beginners, but it will also have parts of it that are for intermediate or advanced learners. It's really an English lesson for everyone. If you don't know what action verbs are, they're the things we do in life. The things we do that you can see happening. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about action verbs, part 1. I'm not sure how many parts there will be, but this is part 1, so welcome. So the first verb I want to teach is the verb cook. When you're hungry, you need to cook food. I mean, you can eat food that's already cooked. You can eat food that doesn't need to be cooked. But most of the tasty meals that I enjoy eating, I need to cook them before I eat them. If I want to have some pizza, I need to cook the pizza. You can't just eat the pizza after you make it. It needs to go in the oven. You need to cook it. I do know there's a few other verbs for cook. You can bake things as well. Generally, we use the verb to bake to talk about breads and cookies. You can also roast things and a variety of verbs. But the basic verb, if you want to talk about preparing food, is the verb cook. It's fun to cook. You can smell things when they're cooking and it makes you hungry. And then, of course, after you cook something, you will eat it. When you have food in front of you, after you have sat down at the table and everyone has said hi to each other, you can start to eat. There's no other way to describe this. When you eat, you put food in your mouth. You then chew the food and then you swallow the food. So in order, you cook the food, then you eat the food, then you chew the food, and then you swallow the food. That is what you do when you are hungry. We also, when we talk about cook, can use the word prepare. You can prepare food. And when we talk about eating, we can use the verb consume. You can also consume food. It's a little more formal to use the word consume. We usually use this when we are talking about eating in general. People consume a lot of fast food in North America. Catch. So you might not think anything is happening, but oh, look, this person is going to catch the keys. It looks like they got into their car and they didn't have the keys, so someone threw the keys to them and they were able to catch them. If you have good coordination, you are probably good at catching things. Coordination is when you can see something and move your hands in a way to catch it or to touch it. So when you are like this person in a car and when you don't have your keys, it's nice if someone throws them to you so that you can catch them. This is a common verb when you're talking about sports. When someone passes you the basketball, you catch it. When someone throws the baseball to you, you catch it. We also sometimes say to receive in some sports. You receive a pass or you catch it. And of course, in order to catch something, someone has to throw it. Usually someone has to throw it. So you can see this person is having fun. They are throwing rocks into the water. I think they're rocks. So when you throw, you take your arm with something in it and you move it quickly forward and then you let go. In English, we have an informal verb for throw as well. Sometimes we just say chuck. You can chuck something and it means the same thing. When you chuck something, it means that you are throwing it. If someone throws something at you and you're not ready though, you might have to duck so that it doesn't hit you. So there's not a whole lot going on in this little video clip because this person has decided to sleep. We are awake during the day, which is the opposite of sleep, But at night, we sometimes have to sleep for a long period of time or sometimes for a short period of time. I myself usually need to sleep for about 8.5 hours. If I sleep for less than 8 hours, I'm usually a little bit tired the next day. So when you sleep, it restores your energy. You close your eyes and you lay in bed, you put your head on the pillow and you sleep. So sleep is a wonderful thing. I love to sleep. I also like to nap. A nap or to nap, it can be a noun or a verb, means to sleep during the day. When I have a nap or when I nap, I usually do it sitting on that gray couch. I don't like to nap by laying down because I sleep for too long. Sometimes I just like to have a little 10-minute nap. Sometimes we call it a snooze, a 10-minute snooze. So there are 4 things that you need to do in order to learn English. One is that you need to read. When you read, you get a book or a magazine, or you look at a computer screen and you have words and you look at the words, and somehow your brain takes that information and makes sense out of it. I love to read. In particular, I love to read science fiction books. I love to read the news. I like to read in order to learn new things. So anytime you are looking at words, you are usually reading. And of course, the opposite, I guess, of read is write. When you write, you get a pen and paper and you put words onto the paper. Interestingly enough, when you type on a computer, you are also writing. You are using the same verb. I'm going to write an email to my mom later today. It was nice that you were able to write me a nice letter. That can be on the computer or on paper. But of course, read is when you look at words and gain understanding. And when you write, it means you put your thoughts onto a piece of paper or on the screen in words. And then listen, of course. It was hard to find a clip showing someone listening, but this is a pretty common thing to do when you can't hear someone or you can't hear something. Sometimes when I'm watching the TV in my back room, the volume isn't loud enough during certain parts of the movies. So sometimes I go like this so that I can hear it. Notice the difference between listen and hear, though. You decide to listen. I can decide to listen to some music. I can listen to Jen when she talks. But when you hear, it's something that happens to you. If there's a noise outside, I will hear it. And then, of course, speak. It's what I'm doing right now. It's when you use your brain and your mouth and your vocal cords to make sounds. It's the number one thing that people learning English want to learn to do well. You all want to learn to speak English really, really well. You obviously want to learn to read and write and understand when you listen to English. But I think the one thing that people really, really want to get good at is they want to be able to speak English as best as they can. So I hope that as you continue to study this language, you learn to speak English really, really well. So one of the most common verbs, now I just said run was more common, but walk is very common. You walk everywhere. Part of the thing that makes us human is that we are able to walk. If I want to go to the barn, I can walk to the barn. If I want to go from one classroom to another, I can walk. And as I mentioned, we do use other words to talk about walking. A stroll is a very slow walk. If I go for a stroll, or if I say he was strolling along, it means someone is walking very, very slowly. You can also go for a brisk walk. That means that you are walking very, very quickly. And you can also tiptoe when you walk to go quietly. There are many, many different ways to walk. Run. So when you run, it's kind of like walking, but you go a lot faster. When you run, your feet come off the ground. I think when you walk, your feet stay on the ground. So you can see this person has decided they need to get somewhere quickly. So they are going to run. So you can see that they are running. Now, there are different words for run. You can go for a jog. You can jog down the road, which is similar to what this person is doing. You can also sprint. When you sprint, it means you run very, very fast. So this person, I would say, is just going for a nice run. They are running. So if you are here and you want to go up, you need to climb. You either need to climb the stairs or you need to climb a ladder. You need to get somewhere higher. And we use the verb climb to talk about that. You can see this person is probably working on something in their house and they needed to climb the ladder to get up to a higher spot. The other thing that can happen when you are somewhere high is you can fall. Don't worry, I'm sure this person is okay, but this person decided to climb a ladder, but something wasn't safe and they lost their balance. And so now they are falling. It's not nice to fall. I'm sure he landed on something very, very soft when he fell. So there's a nice picture of the person. I shouldn't laugh. I'm not sure why I'm laughing, but I'm sure that this person is okay. I'm sure that they weren't aware that they were going to fall, but then they did fall, and hopefully they are okay. One of the nicest things to do during the day is to laugh. I really like it when I hear people laugh. I like it when I laugh. I like to hear laughter. When people laugh, it just makes the day nicer. I like to tell little jokes when I'm teaching because I like to make people laugh. And there's a couple different verbs. You can make someone giggle. So a laugh is like, ha, ha, ha. And a giggle is like, that was really, I guess that is how my giggle works. So a giggle is kind of a small laugh, but it is always nice to hear people laugh or to hear people giggle when you go through your day. It just makes your day nicer. When you see people smile, when you see people laugh, when you see people giggling, it makes you happy yourself. So this is something that you are all doing right now. You have decided to learn. You've decided that you want to learn English. One of the ways you learn English is you watch YouTube videos or you come to my live lesson. When you learn something, it means, first of all, that you don't know it and you do things so that you will know it. Maybe you read something, maybe you listen to someone explain something, but you've decided that you want to know something. And so in order to learn it, you need to do the action of learning in order to know it. This is one of my favorite things to do, by the way. I really, really like learning. I like to learn. I like this little clip here. I feel like this person has a lot of freedom. They have decided to ride a motorcycle. When you have a motorcycle, or if you have a horse, you would ride your motorcycle, you would ride your horse. If you have a bicycle, you ride your bicycle. Generally in English, if you sit on something, we use the verb to ride to talk about it. He is probably going to ride his motorcycle for a long time. You can see he has his leather jacket. What I don't like, though, is he is not wearing his helmet. He should be wearing his helmet. In Canada, you must wear a helmet. I think there are some states in the United States where you don't have to wear a helmet, but in Canada, you are required to wear a helmet. Now, if you are in a car or a truck or van, you will drive that vehicle. Usually when you sit in something, you use the verb drive. I drive my tractor. I drive my car. I drive my minivan. If I want to have pizza tonight, I might have to drive to the store to buy some of the ingredients. So drive is anytime you are moving in a vehicle and controlling it. with the steering wheel. By the way, I hope this doesn't confuse you, but you can ride in a car if you're not the driver. If I drive a car, I'm the driver. But if I go in the car, then I ride in the car. Interesting, isn't it? A little bit of a difference there. Not distance, difference. Hey, as humans, we can walk, but sometimes we get tired and we want to sit down. You can also use the verb sit, like I'm going to sit on this chair, but we often use the verb sit down to talk about when someone goes from standing to a sitting position. So I might use it as a command. I might say to my students, sit down, the lesson is going to start. Or I might say, hey, I would like everyone to sit down. I want to start teaching the lesson. Some of you are probably standing right now. If you're getting tired, you can sit down. You can go from a standing position to a sitting position. This is my action, me acting it out. I guess this person acts it out a little better. He's standing, and now he has decided to sit down. Now, of course, the opposite would be to stand up. You can just use the verb stand. That does work, but we do often say stand up. I would like everyone to stand up. I would like everyone to sit down. Stand up if you have a question. So it's one little tiny extra word, the word up, but it does indicate that someone is moving from a sitting position to a standing position. They have decided to stand up. So in English, we use the verb to fight to talk about two different things. When you argue with someone, like these two people are doing, we would use the verb fight. You know, I had a fight with my friend today. That doesn't mean that you and your friend were hitting each other. It can mean that. So you have to be careful with the verb fight. If I say, my friend and I got in a fight yesterday, it means we had an argument. It means we disagreed with each other and we only used words. If I said there was a fight at school, two students were fighting, or I think those two students are angry and they're going to fight, then I mean that they're going to hit or punch each other. So fight, I think I've explained this before, has two meanings, and you really need to listen to what the person is saying to understand them. If I said to you, I got in a fight with my boss yesterday, that would mean we argued. So sometimes things make us sad, and one of the actions that happens is we cry. When you cry, tears come out of your eyes and tears roll down your cheeks. You can see this older lady here is very, very sad. The younger lady is trying to comfort her to make her feel better, but the older lady, something has happened that has made her cry. So she is very sad. I don't actually see tears on her cheeks, but I couldn't find a video clip of someone with actual tears rolling down their cheeks. But when you're sad, when something happens to you that makes you sad, you sometimes will cry. One thing kids do a lot is they play. One thing adults don't do enough is they don't play enough. They don't take time to enjoy life and to do fun things. This little boy has a kite, and he has decided to go outside and play. He's decided to enjoy his time outdoors. Kids will often play with toys. When kids get a new toy on their birthday, sometimes instead of enjoying the party, they want to play with their toy because it's a new toy. In Canada, we give gifts at Christmas, and kids often want to play with their toys, their new toys, as soon as possible. So when you play, it means you're a kid and you do something fun. You can play with toy cars. You can play with a kite. You can also, as an adult, you can play games with other people. So you can play sports as well. Like when I was younger, I liked to play soccer. I like to play baseball. So it can also be used when talking about a sport. This is another one of my favorite things to do. I like to think. In fact, I really liked this video clip because this is exactly how I think. I usually have a pen or pencil in my hand and I fidget a little bit. Fidget is a word, like if you twirl a pen in your hand and you kind of do little things like this, it's called fidgeting. So I usually fidget with a pen. Sometimes I do tap my head, and I do that because that's how I think. When I want to think of a new lesson or a new way of teaching English on YouTube, I usually sit like this gentleman and I think. When you think, you're having thoughts in your mind. No one else can see them. But yes, you think for a bit and then hopefully you come up with new ideas. Hey, I have a couple verbs here: to turn on, and then of course to turn off, the opposites. Let's go back to this one. If a light is off, when you push the upper button or when you flip the switch up, you turn on the light. So if it's dark in a room, you might want to turn on the light. We also use this to talk about things. You can turn on your computer. You can turn on the TV. I can also turn on my camera, which is right here. Sorry, a little bit of a lapse in my thinking there. I'm trying not to think about too many things at once, and I'm thinking about too many things at once. You can also use a switch to turn off. So when you flip a switch, you can turn off a light. You can turn off your TV. I can turn off this light. Whoa, that's really dark, isn't it? I shouldn't do that during a lesson. I shouldn't turn off the light during a lesson. I should turn the light back on. There we go. It's going to be a little bright while my camera adjusts a bit there. There we go. Back to normal. So you can turn something on. You can also turn something off. And then another pair here. You can open something. And you can also close something. That went a little quickly there. Let's go back. You can open a door. You can open a box. You can open a can of food. Anytime something is inside something else, or when you want to go into something, you might need to open the box or open the door. I'm not sure I'm doing a good job of explaining this one. This person is going to turn the door handle and open the door. After they have opened the door, they can go through the doorway and then they could close the door. So once again, close is the opposite of open. Leave. So when someone goes away, if someone visits you, eventually they will leave. If someone comes over for tea, you'll have tea, you'll talk, and then at a certain point they will leave. They might even say, I have to leave now. I have to leave at 4 o'clock. I often use this verb when I'm talking about going to work. I'll say, and I don't have to say this today, I'll say, I need to finish the lesson soon because I need to leave for work. That means I have to physically get up, put on my coat, and drive to the school. So if you are in one place and you decide to go to another place, you will leave the place you're in. Don't get confused with go and leave. We do use them interchangeably. I have to leave for work in an hour. I have to go to work in an hour. A slight difference in usage, but it definitely means to go from one location to a different location. This is going to freak you out. I don't know if you know the verb freak out. It's like when something scares you a bit, but this person is going to look at you. Wait for it. It's going to happen. He is currently, oh, there it is. Like that is, someone is definitely looking at you. When I look over there, it feels like I'm not talking to you. But when I look at the camera, we make eye contact and it feels like I'm talking to you. So yes, I thought this clip was good because you can see this man look in one direction and then eventually he will look at you. So when you use your eyes, and you point your eyes, I guess, at someone, so kind of a weird way to describe it, we would use the verb look. I'm going to look at you. I'm going to look outside. I'm going to look in the kitchen because I lost my keys. I'm going to look in the kitchen. I guess that means to search for too, right? So it has two meanings. Like I can look at you. I can also look for something if I add the verb for. This guy looks relatively into his video game and suddenly he will lose. So he's playing something. You have the ability to win when you play something, but you also can lose. It's not fun to lose. When two teams play a sport, eventually one team will win and one team will lose. When you lose, you're usually sad. You usually go home a little bit sad or upset or disappointed because it's not fun to lose. It's much more fun to win. When you play a game with someone, maybe you play checkers or chess. When you win, you are very, very happy. We also use it to talk about when things go well at work. You could say something like, today we had a win at work. We sold a lot of things to another company. So it's not used as a verb, but it's used as a noun. Sorry to get a bit confusing there. Let's go back to games. You can lose a game or you can win a game. When you win, you're happy. When you lose, you are sad. And sometimes you meet people. So maybe you go and you meet someone somewhere. You might say, let's meet today at 4 o'clock for coffee. I can meet you at noon and we can talk about the new project. Can you meet me in 3 days at the school and we'll make some lessons? So when you meet, it's when you go to the same place as another person. It can also mean, I'm going to use the word meet again, but when you meet someone for the first time, we use the word meet as well. So I'm going to meet you at school, or I would like you to meet my new friend. That means you are seeing them for the first time. To give. I really like this clip. So two things happen here. One, the man gives flowers to the woman, and then the woman is happy and she gives the man a kiss. Actually, they give each other a kiss. So certainly this is a happy situation. The person has decided to buy flowers, and then he has decided to give them to the woman. So when you give something, you have it, and then after you do this, then the other person has it. You understand what I'm saying? Like when you give something, you have it. After you give it, the other person has it. Maybe that's a good way to describe it. So you can give things like flowers. I can also give an English lesson. So I'm giving an English lesson right now. The action of teaching it, we can use give as well. So always nice to give things to people. This guy's really excited. He's running, and now he's going to jump. When you jump, both feet come off the ground. It's not something I do very often. It takes a lot of energy to jump, but when you jump, you kind of crouch down and then you use all your leg muscles and your arm muscles to go into the air. It's a little bit like flying. It's like flying, but for like half a second. So often people will jump when they play a sport. People will also jump when they're excited. People will always enjoy running and jumping as long as they're young enough to still do it. As I said, I don't often jump, but sometimes I do.